with the presentation. Okay, so I think we are ready. So welcome everyone. This is a meeting we have once a month. And so the idea is to have this very informal meeting where you can ask questions. Of course, this is a time when we enjoy a coffee and we can share what are you drinking and how was the week and all of this. We can share these moments, but also this is a moment where we learn something new. And every time we have a new topic, in this case, today we are going to talk about Agile and AI, and of course, how you can use both in Monday.com. So it is very interesting topic, but please feel free to ask questions, write comments in the chat, unmute yourself, turn on your camera. This is a place for us to, yes, enjoy a coffee, but also experiences. And what makes these type of meetings great is that you share with us your experience, your questions, suggestions, and so on. So this is our cafeteria virtual, and we are all friends here. So not judgment, anything like that. We all want to enjoy coffee, but learn something new. Now, let's start talking about Agile and AI. And I think I didn't introduce myself. My name is Betsa. You can call me Betsy. And I work at Inteli-K. I run operations. And I'm very happy to be here today. So let's talk about the agenda that we have for today. The first topic is going to be the Agile fundamentals. And here we are going to explain what Agile is and what it is not, also some principles, benefits to apply Agile into project management. And then we are going to talk about AI. And of course, let's start with some basic definitions and concepts, but also like the applications that you have of AI in project management. Then we're going to talk about some Monday.com features regarding AI and in Agile, and we have some use cases prepared for you, so please feel free to ask all the questions. So let's talk about the history of Agile. And of course, Agile is not a new concept. Actually, this word is part of our vocabulary. And in order to understand this concept into project management, we need to travel back on time and think about the 90s. So in the 90s, something was happening, especially in software development. This industry was experiencing a lot of evolution. You know, even today, technology is evolving rapidly. We have AI, we have great tools, and if we take a look back then, technology was everywhere. We were trying to automate things back then, and today the things that we can do are incredible. So agile was a concept back then where we had some companies, leaders, IT directors. Of course, we have developers and the client that they were experiencing dissatisfaction with some traditional methods. So you probably remember, and of course, we are using waterfall even today, and there is nothing wrong with that. But back then, we were using waterfall, we were using V model, and other frameworks, um, traditional methodologies for projects that were considered very rigid. And if you remember, if you know waterfall, you know that back then, even today, you start planning, and once you are done with the planning phase, then you move to develop the work. And once you complete the work, you deliver something to your customer. And what happened back then was that you got a surprise, because at the end of your project, you deliver something to your customer months after, even years after the start of your project, and you discover that your client needs change. You discover that the marketplace is not the same that 1 year before. You discovered that you had new competitors for your service or product, and they have these new features. And sometimes, right, because you have your client and they sometimes say A, but they wanted to say B. And so you developed A. And now at the end of the project, months later, years later, you discover that these that you deliver to them is not actually useful. And so you're not going to have adoption. So imagine that a scenario. And we had a lot of companies going through this situation, some IT leaders, developers, clients, customers, etc. So they were not happy about this. And we started to see some IT guys, I'm going to say some IT guys, that they were like starting to experiment with new approaches. In other words, like new ways of working, new ways of doing projects. In 2001, and this is a big moment for Agile. In 2001, the 17 guys, and these are the guys that we see in the picture, they all got together and they started discussing like the differences, what they were experimenting with. And you can imagine that meeting, right? Some one person said like, I have this new way of working that I'm calling Scrum, this new way of working that I'm calling extreme programming. And they started to discuss the differences, and they created something called the Agile Manifesto. And this document is the most important thing in Agile, in my opinion. So a lot of times we see a lot of people saying they are doing projects in based on the Agile methodology, but when you ask them about the Agile Manifesto, or sometimes you're trying to see if they are looking or living into these values and principles, you get amazed that they don't know about this at all. So there is a lot of misconceptions about Agile. And so if we really want to understand, and so if we really want to live this new way of working, one thing we need to do is to first understand what Agile really means. And the way to do it is starting with the values and principles. Let me share with you in the chat one link, and I'm going to share my screen so you can see these values and principles. So there is this website, agilemanifesto.org, where you can find two things. The first, let me go back to the main page. The first is you're going to find like core values, and you can see like the first one is individuals and interactions. And so there is a lot of things behind these sentences, and we need to understand them. But basically, with the agile mindset, we value more working with our teams and customers over having very rigid processes and tools. Sometimes, if the tool is not working, we prefer to have a black canvas, uh, blackboard. We also prefer to have this working software. It is better to have a piece of that software working and delivering some value to have an amazing and very robust guide documentation. Then customer collaboration, and this is something that I really enjoyed talking about Agile here. So I prefer to have more collaboration with my client instead of negotiating all the time because we identify a new change, and so we need to negotiate over the contract or that specific scope, that specific schedule. I prefer to have more collaboration with them and to embrace changes, not to be worried about them. And also responding to change, right? So I embrace change because I know my clients' needs are evolving and I need to adapt if I really need to deliver those and achieve those results they are looking for. And I think you can see my slide again. So we kind of understand what was going on in the 90s. Uh, we were doing projects in a very traditional way, and so we needed to be like do it not doing things quickly, but being able to adapt and being able to get more collaboration with our clients, more feedback, etc. So let's talk about the evolution. So with Agile, after this manifesto went public in 2001, we started to see how Agile expanded to other industries. And of course, we talk about software development because that is one industry that has evolved so rapidly. If we take into account, for example, the construction industry, right? I don't know if you know this data, but it is believed there are a lot of research and the PMI, the Project Management Institute, is actually very worried about this. And so they are developing some specific certifications for the construction industry, but because it is considered an industry that hasn't evolved as quickly as others. They are a little bit behind in this agile methodology. So this key fact is that around 80% of construction projects are developed out of budget. They go out of budget. And it is because a lot of reasons. One of that is the development approach. Sometimes, even if we want to apply a Scrum to develop a building, a house, sometimes it's not feasible. So there are some key elements to take in mind. But in general, what one thing that happens is that um, with these traditional frameworks, sometimes we cannot deliver in sprints or iterations, but we need to do it like in a waterfall or very phased stages way. So about the evolution here, Agile has transformed project management. And now we have almost 30 frameworks. One of those frameworks, I'm sure you know, maybe you have experience with these frameworks. One very popular is Scrum, but there are many others. We have Kanban, we have Scrum of Scrums, we have SAFe, we have too many frameworks and more to come. So there are a lot of frameworks. They all are based on this agile methodology mindset. And this mindset comes from those values that we saw and those principles that I encourage you to read. And yes, so the main reason why Agile has evolved and now is very popular and is becoming more and more popular is because this way of working, right? We want to promote a more flexible approach to develop projects that are adaptable, that are customer oriented, and that they are seeking to get feedback from my customer early on and continuously. So I make sure what the things that we are working are actually what my client needs. And here we have a lot of frameworks. This slide is my favorite. So let's talk quickly about what is agile and what is not. So agile, we say this is like a mindset, a philosophy that emphasizes a lot on collaboration, on having these continuous meetings with my customer, with my users, with my stakeholders, and it responds to change. It is not as waterfall that I start planning, and once I completed the planning, then I start developing the work, and once I complete the work, I deliver something to my client. Instead of that, we are doing like the same, but in a small iterations. So sometimes it could be like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. We plan some of the work. We complete that work, we develop that work, and we get this feedback from my customer. And then we plan for the next piece of the work. And so in this case, Agile is all about collaboration. It's also about responding to change in a positive manner. After the first iteration or a sprint, if I find that my customer has a new request and that makes sense, that's great. We can develop that work in the next iteration. I don't need to redo the plan for the complete project once again. Also continuous improvement. So we do understand that, especially with some projects, there are times that we will need to adapt continuously because there are changes in the environment in our customer needs. What is not agile is an excuse for not doing planning. And I have heard that a lot. Sometimes, especially when the teams are starting to adopt a specific framework, let's say a Scrum, sometimes I hear they say, like, we don't plan. There is no planning in Agile. There is no planning in Kanban. There is no planning in Scrum. And that is not true. We do have plans and we spend some time planning, but the difference here is that we don't plan for the complete project because we do understand that we may not have all the information, and so we just take a piece of that work that we consider is important, that we prioritize, and that piece of work is what we are going to develop in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And then after that specific sprint or iteration, then we are going to plan again one more time. So instead of doing planning for the entire project once, we do it repeatedly. The second thing is that Agile is only for software development, and that's not true. So we see a lot of industries that they are implementing this agile methodology and they are adapting frameworks like Kanban, like SAFe to their business needs. And so even if you don't need like a Scrum have some very good practices, like the daily Scrums, some specific ceremonies that you can take into your processes. One specific practice that I like is retrospectives. And I do encourage our clients to do retrospectives in all of their projects. And like the difference with retrospectives in traditional projects is that you usually do it at the end. So once the project is almost done, you have this like post-mortem to see what things go wrong, what things went great, and so on. But with Agile, in for example, Scrum, you have retrospectives at the end of each sprint. So it is a great moment for everyone to reflect and think about what things are working, what things are not working, and what actions we are going to take, what are going to be our commitments for the next interaction. And we see these works as continuous improvement, and the team starts to perform better and better over time. So even if because of your industry and your type of projects, these frameworks may not work for you, there are some practices that you can take. Then Agile. The Agile is a set of rules that you need to follow. Otherwise, you're not doing Agile. This is another thing that I hear a lot. And the truth is, like Agile is just a mindset. It's a way of working. We have some values and we have some principles. And so you may encounter some frameworks that they tell you how many ceremonies you need to have in your project, the duration of those meetings, who should be participating in these meetings. Sometimes they could even say the dress code. And this is not agile, right? Agile is just a mindset. Sometimes the framework, they could be like very specific, but again, you need to select those frameworks that you want to adapt to your unique needs, processes, people, and find your own way of working. And then also, I hear a lot about some roles that don't exist in Agile. And that's another lie. Sometimes I hear like the project manager doesn't exist in Kanban, let's say, in Scrum, in extreme programming. And again, that's not true, right? So, for example, in Scrum, we may not have like the project manager in the I forgot the name in the Scrum guide, but we can have project managers in those frameworks. It doesn't mean they don't exist. What I think it means, or what I do agree, is that with the traditional methodology or frameworks such as Waterfall and others, sometimes the project manager is perceived as a god, right? They know everything. They are the key accountable and they are responsible for the complete project and so on. And with these new frameworks, like we have different roles and they have different responsibilities. And in some way, we share the accountability of the project. And finally, I think this is the reason why, especially Scrum is becoming so popular. And of course, we are not understanding this framework enough. And one way is that people tend to think that if we implement a Scrum, we are going to do things so quickly. Or projects. We have projects that take 3 months. With the Scrum, we can deliver something in weeks. It really depends. Sometimes you can get these benefits, but in my experience, it takes time to become very effective and have a great team doing having an amazing performance because they need to adapt to this new way of working. And so most of the times, it doesn't mean that with Agile, you're going to deliver your projects half the time. So now let's talk about a little bit about AI because then we need to do the practice in Monday so everyone can learn. AI, again, is the same as agile, right? It's not a new concept. So we can find some references about AI back into the 50s. So 1950, there is a lot of things going on with AI. New, no, it is not a new concept. So yes, one thing that is true is that recently we have seen new developments, a growth and more advances in algorithms. Some key concepts to keep in mind are the following, right? So, for example, machine learning. Machine learning is something that we were thinking about years ago. And this is like a branch of AI that focuses on develop these algorithms that allows the machines to learn from data and improve their own algorithm. And so in other words, they are learning and improving from experience. The second one is the not the best one, but the one that I'm more excited about, that is natural language processing. And so I don't know if you have experience with these languages for coding. And so we have Python, we have C Sharp, we have so many, like so many different languages for computing, for coding, and I'm really bad at it. Actually, I had a class in college. I failed that class. It was horrible. It was a horrible experience because I'm not good at communicating with machines. So now, of course, I'm very excited with ChatGPT because I can speak human and that thing understands me, right? So natural language processing allows to communicate with computers and so they can interpret, manipulate, and respond to us in our same language. And I'm not talking about different things that we don't know here. And the last one is data analysis. So data analysis, again, we know this involves about manipulating, cleaning, modeling the data to discover like some insights and doing something with that data. So these are like three key concepts when we talk about AI, three main concepts that we need to be familiar with. And now I have this slide that I want to share with you, and then we are going to move into Monday, and we have a little surprises there. So these are like our key tools. And so we discuss about all the hundreds of apps that exist that they have something of AI. It could be like natural language processing and so on. And this is like our top list. So of course, ChatGPT and Monday, and we are going to talk about that in a second. And we have Tango. And if you're like us, sometimes you need to create these guides, these step-by-step guides, and right, we don't have time. So this tool is great because it automatically creates the document, and the only thing that you need to do is share your screen. So you share the screen, you follow the steps, and then at the end, this tool is going to give you this document with the screenshots and the text and the basically the step-by-step guide that you can share with your customer, with your user. And that is just amazing. Synthesia is a great tool for creating even your own avatar. So imagine you can have your own version speaking all of the languages. And so that is great for creating videos, trainings, and so many more things. Then we have beautiful AI. And so I encourage you to play with this app because it is great for creating presentations with one script. And actually, you can combine, right? So we are combining a lot ChatGPT with beautiful AI, ChatGPT with Synthesia. So you have that script, and then you go to these tools, and then you can create with this tool the videos automatically. And then we have Canva. And you may already know that Canva has some AI features. And so if you're like me, we're not good at designing things. So you can ask Canva to create like these different styles over and over again until you find some styles that you like. Oh, other AI, of course, this is a tool for creating meeting minutes. And these two more tools, they are great. In my opinion, you can replace these tools with ChatGPT if you are using ChatGPT correctly. But basically, they have very good features for creating like specific catchy email subjects, creating articles, creating blog posts, these kind of things. They are very good at this. Okay, so I'm going to talk about three more tools. The first one is PMI Infinity, and you won't believe me, but it is not working today. It was working yesterday. And as you know, like we have the PMI website, and I think a few weeks ago they released like their own ChatGPT. And the great thing about their own ChatGPT is that is right here, is that it has very good information. So you can imagine it has really good quality data about project management, about best practices. And even if you are trying to get certified with them, you can use their ChatGPT as an exam simulator. And so you can have this conversation to measure how much you know about a specific topic, and you can identify if you need to study more, and you can get the responses. So it is a great tool, and I just check a few moments. Okay, now it's working. It's working just for my webinar, so that's great. And so here you can play with this. There are some things that you can select, and just a ChatGPT, right? You ask something and then you get the response. But again, the thing about this is that the quality of the data is amazing. I honestly recommend this a lot. And so here, I don't even remember what I asked, but basically, I think I asked about the certifications. So it is creating this table where it says what are the certifications, the prerequisites, how much you may need to study, the exam, the prices, and so on. So if you have time and you are crazy about project management, as we are, we really recommend that. And now let me share my screen here. We have two GPTs that we have trained over the last months. The first one is this. I think you can see let me know if you can see my screen. Oh, let me know if you can see my chat GPT.
Yes, we can.
Yes, I think, okay, there. Great. Thank you very much. So this is a GPT we have trained, and here you can also get tips about project management. You can even say like, what's the best way to manage project risks? And it's going to give you some great ideas. This is a GPT we have for you. Of course, the sad thing is that you need to have like this premium version of ChatGPT, but I promise it's worth it. And so we're going to share with you the link in the chat in a moment more. And now that I started talking about this, let me share with you our Monday expert. So I'm very excited about this because this is a GPT we have and we have trained for months. And so I think it's becoming every time like more smart, let's say. And here you can do a lot of things. You can say, I haven't decided whether to use Monday.com or another tool. And you can go ahead and ask them, like, what are the key differences between these two tools, right? And it's going to give you the information. But one thing that you can do is, let's say you want to build a specific use case in Monday. And so you don't know how to start, right? So you can also ask for guidance. And this is something that we do a lot. Sometimes we say, like, and let me stop this. Let's say I want to create a board to manage my project risk. What columns, groups, and status labels should I have? And one great thing about this GPT is that this one is familiar with Monday. So when you say board, this chat understands. When you say dashboard, formula column, and all of that terminology, this thing will understand. And so, yes, what always happens is that, right, when you need to demonstrate this, they take their time. So there it is. So it's going to give me some suggestions of the groups I can have for that board. So we can have these by, actually, this is pretty good. I can have one group based on the project phase, risk type, priority level. I think I will go with priority level. I would like to have my board base with these groups, high, medium, low. If we are talking about this board that the purpose is to manage risks. And here we have some columns. This one is very important. Risk ID, the title, the owner of that risk. What is the likelihood that this risk is going to happen, the impact that this is going to have in my project, the status, and so on. So actually, these columns are very good, and even some status labels. So identified, assessing, inaction, monitoring, and so on. So this is another one that we are going to share with you. We are going to share the link. So if you have this ChatGPT version, you can use it. And in that way, you're going to help us train this GPT even more. Now, let's move. Talking about Monday.com, in case you are not familiar with this great tool. Basically, Monday.com have been in the market for, oh, um, more than 10 years. And they started in 2012 with another name, and they changed the name to Monday.com in 2017. And so at the beginning, Monday was considered a tool for manage your tasks and projects. And now we have very specific products to different teams. Like we have Monday CRM, that is a great tool. We have another product for developers, not developers, but more like software development. We have another tool that is about to be released, that is Monday Service, that is very good for tickets and help desk. And we have another great tools. Actually, the next webinar that we are going to host is going to be about Work Canvas. This is a new product for collaboration. So if you are familiar with Miro.com, so Word Canvas is like Miro, but better because you can pull data from your boards. So that's amazing. So let's go with my Monday. I think I have prepared that right here. There it is. So I'm in Monday, right? And here I have one board that I rename as AI features. And we're going to start like demonstrating what you can do with Monday AI. So the first one is that I want to click on this icon, and just before I forget. So if you're using Monday, you may have these icons. If not, please let us know in the chat and we can help you how to get this AI, because some features are still being tested, and so you need to request like early access. So you click on this icon and you get this categorized with AI. Actually, this is new, just been, it was presented a few days or weeks ago. And here you can have some options. And I want you to imagine the things that you can do with this, because I'm going to share with you very simple use cases, but you need to think ahead. And so I'm going to select here this one. When an item is created into my board, that Monday can help me categorize that item automatically. And so I have this category column already. I'm going to add this to the board. I'm just going to make sure here, let me create a fake task. I'm going to make sure here in my categories I have some. Let's say I want to have planning, and then itinerary. I want another one about transportation, packing, and reservations. So I have these labels, right? And then I'm going to click on this icon one more time, and I'm going to select Task Generator. And I'm going to say, create a list of tasks required to plan a 2-day business trip to Kyoto, Japan. And let's click on Generate. And so I have a few tasks. We can select which ones make sense. I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to click on Add. And here we can see, of course, they are now in my board. Let me close this window. And as you can see, the automation was successful, and I have this category automatically. So this is great, but one more time, you need to think what you can do with it. I have in mind some use cases, right? Imagine that you have one board for your customer satisfaction survey. And so every time you get a new response from your form, this AI tool can categorize whether this new response is positive, negative, and so on. So you can do a lot of things with this. I'm just demonstrating here very simple use cases. So we have categorized and created tasks automatically. Now let's go with the formula, because I'm very bad at this. Actually, I'm not good at formulas, not even in Excel. So let's say I want what I want. I want I want a formula column here, and I want to, let's say what I want to measure if my task is on time or if this task is already late. And let's say I have these dates. And of course, just let me explain. I have this timeline column. Basically, this is the actual start and end date. And here we have my baseline timeline. And basically what this says is that, let me change here. What this says is what are the start and end dates that I have planned. So these are like planned start and end dates, and these are the actual start and end dates. So here we have this formula column that it tells me, for example, this activity is 1 day behind. I was supposed to start based on my plan, right? Based on my plan, I was supposed to start this activity. When was that? On Tuesday and finish this on Wednesday. That was yesterday. And now I have this date that I'm starting this activity yesterday, and I should be completing this activity today. So there is 1 day more to my schedule. So let's start with the formula. I'm going to click Formula Builder, and I'm going to say, calculate, or if let's say my variance is less than 0, late. Again, natural language, right? I don't need to speak machine language for this to understand me. And so I'm going to say if, again, more time variance is more than 0, then on time. And I think this is the other way around, but I think you will get the idea here. Let me send this, and I have this formula, oh, which I lost. One more time. And I have this right here in case this happens. So let me click send one more time and just wait for the response. And then I'm going to copy the formula only, set formula, and there it is. And again, one more time, this formula is very simple. I'm able to build this formula, please believe me, but this is just a small demonstration, okay? And we are using this AI tool to build very complex formulas that I don't want to share with you because you're going to get maybe scared. Now let's move to actually another Word doc that I have right here. And this is actually a meeting minute. So I have here my meeting minute. And one thing that you can do with this, but I need to say, is not very good yet. I can say summarize the information because I didn't show you, but I have a long text over here. So here, if I don't have time to read all of these, we can have this short paragraph with the summary. That's another thing that you can use in Monday. And then let me move to my CRM. So I have my CRM here. I have this lead, Claudia Quiñones. And so I'm going to click on this conversation icon, and then I'm going to write an email. So here I'm going to write a new email. I'm going to use my email account, and here's my AI assistant. I'm going to click, and I'm going to say, actually, I'm going to select one of these examples because they are very good examples. The first one says, write a 100 work friendly email from Claudia that is ghosting me. Let's select this one. And here we have the email. I just need to copy and please keep in mind you need to replace the subject. Don't send this as it is. And of course, I can add here some of my columns to be entered automatically. And so this is, of course, a great tool because now I can save this as a template and I can generate my own responses. So every time I have to do this, I don't need to spend so much time. So this is another way in which you can use AI in Monday. So basically, we are running out of time, and I would like to ask you if you have any questions. Any questions that you have? What do you think, Daniel?
It's very interesting.
A lot of things we can do with AI. It basically saves time, right? It can help us do more things. Great, amazing. So
Um,
I don't see questions. Yep,
could you share with us the formulas
yep.
that will scare us?
You want to see the formulas?
Yes.
I mean, I have one in mind. Let me just click on. I have one in mind, but honestly, the team is creating very crazy formulas. And I think there is no limit. So, I mean, you can create very long formulas. Let me share with you one. And it's not big, but we did struggle with this formula a lot because it was not working. And I think the most important thing for me is that sometimes you get very boring at writing the columns just as they are so the formulas can work. And sometimes you don't find the error and you don't know why this formula isn't working. And so that's another use case AI. You can basically copy like the formula and you can ask like what is wrong with my formula, can you change this column to this other column, and that's amazing because honestly you can spend minutes building a specific formula, and sometimes you get an error but you don't know how to fix it, and you know this tool can help.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. This explanation is in the formula settings, or where do you get the explanation?
Okay, yes, you can use that there. I just need to add here, for example, a formula column. Someone is going to kill me, but so here you can say, please explain this formula to me. And here you have your text that I'm not going to read. But yes, yes, try this and think about
Yes.
the things that you can do. That's an amazing question, Daniel. Thank you very much. And so we are just 2 minutes before the end of our meeting. If you have any questions, please feel free to write those in the chat. I see someone is writing, so let's see.
I think we're good. Thanks so much, Betsu.
Anytime.
There you are. You have a question.
Yeah, I have a question. Just 1 minute before the meeting ends. How can we integrate the AI functions into our workspaces? That's a great question. And one thing I can share with you, for example, the categorize, right? This was not available a few months ago. And so Monday has these new features planned in the roadmap. So you can expect more features about AI. We don't have like something specifically for the workspaces, but I mean, we can send Monday some feedback, right? I would love to have one feature for AI to archive those workspaces we are not using, for example, right? To find those duplicated workspaces, that would be amazing. We don't have something specifically, but you can expect a lot from Monday soon because they are doing great things with AI and they have a lot of things planned in their roadmap. So Alejandro, that's an amazing question. Let's send Monday some feedback because I want some things about workspaces. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time. I hope to see you in the next webinar on May. It's going to be about Word Canvas. It's going to be great. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy your coffee and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Betsy. Bye.